Let's talk about something that I heard you just say. I want to unpack a little bit, and that is choosing what songs go out there, because you are you're a pop artist, an indie pop artist, which I'm such a huge fan of indie pop. But a lot of indie pop, and I'm sure you'll admit this and agree, is very dance centric and very upbeat and stuff like that. And the reason why I love you as an artist is because your lyrics are very relevant in a lot of your songs, very vulnerable, very emotive, right? And you just admitted that you don't release all of your songs. You keep some for yourself, and that's what songwriters do always. So,
Hmm.
how do you choose which ones you put out? Because a lot of your songs are vulnerable, and like 19 is an example that is helping people, but you're holding
Yeah,
some back too. So what's the the process to choose which one?
such a hard question because I am still figuring that out. In general, um, in general, there's a few different things. There's one song that I just recently recorded called Swim that I'm hoping to release, I think next year. Um, it's very, I thought it was going to be one of those songs that I keep to myself. I wrote it when I was living at my friend's house for the first 5 weeks after my uh, injury, and I was really in a lot of pain. Um, and just going through it emotionally and with my faith, I was like, what is going on? Like, I can't catch a break. And I was just processing with my ukulele. And I wrote this song called Swim. And then it wouldn't leave me alone for like a couple of weeks. I would sing it in the shower, I would sing it just like laying in bed. Um, it would not leave me alone. And that felt like very powerful. There was a life force in that song. And that was so I texted my producers. I was like, I need to get into I still had a broken leg. I was like, I need to get to the studio ASAP and just get this out. And then it stopped leaving me alone. Once I recorded it, it was like my brain was empty. So sometimes that happens. That one's not all that common. Sometimes it's just like, I think there's a story here that somebody else might relate to, and I don't want to be selfish and keep it to myself.
Wow.
And sometimes the songs that I write for myself, I just don't think they're good enough. But what I've started to do recently is I'll write a song and I'm not sure. Sometimes you're like, that's a banger, that's a hit. And sometimes you're like, this is trash, I should quit songwriting. And then sometimes it's in between. And I send a lot of those songs to close friends that I know will be honest with me. My sister, especially, will always be honest with me, brutally honest. And so I'll send them to those people. And if they have an emotional response, then it's probably a sign that I should release it. If they're like, that's cool, I'm like, maybe not, or let's sit on this one for a while. So I have to, because again, it's songwriting and music is no longer about me. It was for the first decade of me pursuing it. And I just realized like, man, this can't all be about me. There are stories that, I mean, Adele inspired me. She made me feel like not alone. She made me feel not crazy when I was like going through my first heartbreaks as a teenager. And so I wanted to like do that for somebody else. So that's kind of my process. It's nuanced and there's not always a clear answer. It's a lot of like instinct.
So there's a lot of paying it forward kind of vibes in it. And so let me ask you this: as you're
Yeah.
living that song, the life of a song, right? Whether it's put out as a single or it has some radio life, some charting life, whether you're playing it out live, there is a life to a song. As you're living the life of a song, are you reliving the pain that came with that song, or is it more therapeutic for you? Like, is it more healing for you?
When I'm writing the song itself.
No, rather like living the song, right? Like after it's written, it's produced, all of that. And now the
Mm,
song has a life, right? Like
yeah.
it has a certain period of time that's relative to your career, whether you're performing it out live or radio life or whatever it is. Like as
Mm,
you're talking and performing the song, is it reliving the hurt or is it more healing and therapeutic for you?
mm. I think it's I think it's both and. I'll give you an example. A couple of nights ago, I played a house show for somebody's birthday party, and I played them a song that I had not played for anybody yet. I was like, you guys seem cool. Like, I guess I'll just show this to you and see what happens. Because that's another way I find out which songs I should keep and
Experimenting
which
with an
ones I should toss.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yep.
to experiment. And so I did this song called Last Breath, and I had written it actually 5 days before I broke my leg. I was already feeling like emotionally I was on my last breath. And it was this song of me just kind of like, crying out to God and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I noticed in that moment, I was closing my eyes and playing the song, and I was back in my kitchen with my guitar. I remembered exactly where I was, how I felt, what time of the night it
Wow.
was when I wrote this song. And it was like I was immediately transported back there. But it was almost an out of body experience where I could kind of like watch it from the outside. So I experience it again whenever I play a song, and I remember like where this came from, but I don't necessarily live inside of it all over again. Because if I did that, it would be pretty hard to
Yeah.
perform a lot of my songs because a lot of my songs were written from a really painful place. So it's kind of like this third person, like I'm remembering on the outside, you know?
Yeah. So Courtney Patton, you know who Courtney is?
I don't think so.
So she's a pretty well-known Texas country artist, and she talks about she writes very vulnerable songs, very painful things. I mean, she's writing her biography, so to speak, right? And she talks about a grieving process with her songs. That she grieves the song, and then once the grieving process is over, then she can perform the songs no problem. And
Mm,
it was such a unique experience chatting with her about that. Do you feel like
that's a
that's somewhat like that?
yeah, that's a wow, that's a beautiful way to put it. I absolutely think that's right. And in fact, it's there have been many moments where I couldn't move on from a situation because you can't really move on from a situation, a difficult situation, unless you grieve it. That's why
Sure.
it's the grieving process.
Yeah.
And what I started to realize actually pretty recently was that if I resist writing a song about this thing because I don't want to sit here and be vulnerable with myself and I don't want to feel all the feelings, I'm preventing myself from grieving and I'm delaying my healing process. That happened just recently. I was like, I do not want to write a song about this. But I was like, I think what would happen if I did? So I just sat down and I felt all of the feelings. And man, it was just so cathartic. It was healing. And then I got done. I put my ukulele down. I took a deep breath and I was like, damn, that worked. Like it
Wow.
didn't heal me
Yeah.
altogether, but it was like I got to put it away. I don't have to hold it all the time
Yeah.
on my shoulders. I can put it down on paper. I can put it in audio form and just kind of send it off for a little
I
while.
think we all deal
Compartmentalize.
with that kind of procrastination, right? Like even if we're not songwriters, like a phone call you don't want to make or an appointment you don't want to go to, like just rip the
Yeah.
band-aid off, get it over with, and it's in the rearview mirror now, and you can breathe a little more freer. I love how you put that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with journaling. A lot of people don't journal or don't want to journal, I think, because journaling is a moment of vulnerability with yourself. It's
Hmm.
opening up your heart and taking off the barricades that you've put around it. And um, I think we live in such a busy world. We move from place to place and appointment to appointment, meeting to meeting, that like we're not having a lot of moments just with ourselves. We even like listen to music or podcasts in the car instead of driving in silence.
Yep.
I've had to realize that for myself. Like I need moments of silence to just talk to myself
Yeah.
and look at my heart and see what needs healing. And a lot of times it ends up leading to a really good song.
Yeah. My wife gets on my butt all the time because I don't have enough silence in my life. Like even
Yeah.
like even when
I've
I'm
had that. People have told me that.
yeah, like
Yeah.
even when I'm asleep, I have to have something playing, whether it's a podcast or a documentary or something, in order for me to sleep. It just turns off the voices, right?
Yeah.
But I've found lately when I'm in the car, I try to keep it quiet. Like I'll not put any music on because like I'll be sitting here in the studio, And I have multiple screens playing multiple different things and actually paying attention to all of them. I'll have a sports game on or a podcast over here, or like an
Yeah,
off
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
grid video over here. I got my phone playing music. Like, it's just crazy. My wife will come in here and it's just like overload for her. So, yeah. But yeah, like silence is important too. And I'm learning that as I get older. I wanted to chat
Silence
with
is
you.
uncomfortable though.
It really
That's why we
is.
avoid it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when I'm trying to sleep, right? Like that's when all of
Yeah.
those really bad voices come in, and like especially your
Oh, trust me, I
mortality
know.
voices, right? Like that's when you feel like you're gonna die. I don't know if that's just me, but
No, I know what you mean. Nighttime alone in the quiet with nothing play. It is I still struggle with that. I still
yeah,
listen to things at night. Yeah.
yeah, same.